Hey there, and welcome to the Event Crushed podcast. Each week, we'll be chatting about all things wedding industry, entrepreneurship, and how to crush it in life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Now, let's dive into this week's episode. Well, hey there, friends. Welcome back to the Event Crushed podcast. This is your host, Becky, and I'm so excited to be back today after a brief little hiatus. So I appreciate your patience with me as wedding season just kind of ramped up. And I was so proud of myself for starting this podcast in May of last year, right before wedding season. And I kept it going consistently all wedding season without missing an episode. So I was very proud of myself for that. And I was hoping to do that again this year. But hey, we're all human, and I am hopeful that you guys will give me some grace. But thanks for hanging in there with me. We're back, and I have some great upcoming interviews that I cannot wait to get out to you. So we will definitely have lots of great episodes and content coming your way very soon. So I hope you had a great 4th of July weekend. We are just coming off of that, and I hope you, just had an awesome time celebrating with your loved ones. And diving in to today's topic, because this is another solo episode with yours truly, we are going to be talking about managing client expectations through communication. And I think this is such a foundational topic that every wedding pro will be able to relate to. I know that we've all had situations where clients are reaching out to us with questions, or where scope creep has reared its ugly head because we weren't clear about the services being provided, or clients were frustrated because they weren't sure what comes next. I truly believe that all of this can be prevented through proactive communication with our couples and clients. You will be able to say goodbye to unneeded stress, confusion, and misunderstandings, and instead your clients will feel so confident moving forward. One of the biggest gifts you can give your clients is to communicate effectively and providing a roadmap for them upfront about what the experience of working with you is going to look like. So first, I want to talk about why managing expectations beforehand is crucial. We don't want to onboard our clients and get everything going, and then all of a sudden they're reaching out to us because they don't know what's happening next, and they're getting anxious and nervous. So they're coming to us and saying, "Hey, when are we going to talk about this? And when are we going to do this?" I mean, it doesn't matter what type of wedding professional you are. We've all had that experience, and none of us want that because it makes our clients feel uneasy. And we ultimately should be the guiding them through this, because clients don't know what they don't know. Most of them have never done this before. It's their first time getting married. And our goal, the reason they hire us, isn't just to deliver beautiful photos. It isn't just so that they can enjoy their wedding day. It isn't just so that they can eat delicious food. Like, they hire us so that we can guide them through the process and make it easy for them. So that is our ultimate goal. And unspoken expectations can lead to serious disappointment. So if we assume that our clients know something, or we think, oh yeah, like everybody knows that, so I shouldn't have to communicate it with my clients because it's just a given, that is just a recipe for disaster. It's going to lead to serious disappointment on both ends. And the more that we can communicate upfront about our policies and procedures and how the process is going to go, the more confident and just better our clients are going to feel, and we're going to feel. I also want to add that setting clear boundaries is not harsh. Instead, it's professional, and it will protect both you and your couple. A lot of wedding pros don't really figure out the whole boundary setting until a handful of years into business, until they've kind of been burned by not setting boundaries. But my hope is to help wedding pros to not wait to set those boundaries after you have experienced, the negativity of not having those in place, but instead to set them early on because it will set you up for success. And it is, again, it's not just for you, it's for your clients as well. So we'll get into that a little bit more down the road, but essentially managing expectations ahead of time with your clients and your potential clients, it builds their trust and confidence in us. And that's just such a gift. If we are just starting off the bat with a new couple, a new client, we're so excited to work with them. And if we're already not setting that foundation of trust and confidence by not being real clear about the path forward, then that's just starting things off on the worst foot possible. So first we've talked about why it's important, and now we're going to talk about where you should be laying out these expectations throughout the process. And originally I was going to start by saying in your contract, which of course that's a big part of this, but this all starts before a couple even reaches out to inquire. So I really think the first place that we want to be kind of laying that foundation is your website and your social media, basically your online presence. So even before a potential client reaches out to you, you should be making it really clear what it's like to work with your company. And you can do that through your website copy, social media posts. You can include info on your processes, your core values as a company. I think that can be super telling for couples. Having your starting rates or investment ranges listed on your website. Again, the more details you can share, the better. That's just going to make things smoother as you move the potential client through the booking process. Another way to do this on your website is via your inquiry form and your automated response that the potential client receives after they reach out to you. So your inquiry form can also guide your potential clients through those first steps by asking simple questions that will get you all the information you need to get started to be able to set up a consult with them. And then sending them an automated response that details what the process looks like from here and when they can expect to hear from you. This is huge. This just, again, it gives them that peace of mind to know that you are professional, that you're on top of it, and you're just laying everything out. You're putting all the cards on the table. You're saying, hey, thanks so much for reaching out. I'm going to get back to you within 24 to 48 hours, and we're going to schedule a consult and chat further. You can also even include a link to schedule a consult right in that email. And before you do anything, you might already have a consult scheduled and on your calendar. You are building trust through every single touch point. Every email you send, every reminder email that says, hey, you have a consult scheduled in 1 hour. Every touch point, whether it's automated or it's coming directly from you, is building trust with your couples and is helping them realize, wow, this company is legit. Like they have their stuff figured out. They have systems in place and they're walking me through this process. And it's making me feel really good about working with them. But if they reach out to you, there's no automated response. You take 3 to 4 days to get back to them. You don't have a scheduling link. You're like, here, I can meet on Thursday at this time, Friday at this time. There's no automation. Everything just feels very pieced together. Like, do you think they're going to feel super confident in working with you and moving forward? I'm thinking probably not, especially when they're also inquiring with other companies who do have this system of communication in place. So that's why this is so important, because the vast majority of times, couples are not just reaching out to you. They are reaching out to a handful of other planners, photographers, florists, stationery designers, and they're comparing your responses, your response time, your response emails, the quality of your interactions. They're taking all of that and they're comparing it to the other companies that they're inquiring with. So at the end of this episode, I'm going to encourage you and remind you to just take a look at your systems and your automations in your business and see, if there is a way to up-level it to create that extra seamless, extra easy process to make these potential clients want to work with you. Something else you can do, again, we're talking about things on your website and social media, is having an FAQ section. Your contact page is a great spot for this, just because if somebody clicks on that page, they're clearly interested in working with you. And then you can have that FAQ kind of at the bottom of that page. You can have a whole separate FAQ page. You can have it on your services page. I think that's great too. But this is just a way to answer questions for potential clients in advance so that they're not having to reach out to you to ask these questions. You're answering it for them in advance. And again, it's building that confidence because they're like, oh, this is so cool. These are the exact questions that I was going to reach out and ask, and it's answered right here. So now I feel way more confident in booking a consult with them because they've already answered some of my questions. And the last thing I want to say about this is that this step, this extra communication in the inquiry, the pre-booking process, is that it serves you just as much as it serves a potential client because it filters in people who value your process and it helps to weed out the red flags before discovery calls even happen. Okay, so now we'll move on to the contract. I'm sure you guys know that this is an excellent place to be really clear in your communication, especially about the scope of services that you are going to be providing to the client. So explaining in just great detail what exactly they are receiving. For example, the number of meetings that you're going to be having with them, the number of hours of event day coverage or coordination, when to expect a product. For example, if you're delivering a photo or video gallery, when will they expect to receive those images? This is a bit of a tangent, but I saw a photographer recently say that she doesn't put any kind of a time frame on her contract for the delivery of the photos. And I thought that was really interesting. And I think that her perspective was that it doesn't hold her to a kind of unrealistic standard. If she gets really busy, she's not going to break her contract. But as a potential client, I would be very uneasy about that because it would make me think, oh, okay, so there's no guaranteed time of deliverability. So how do I know that I'm going to get my photos at all or within a reasonable time frame? And I think she said that she always delivers within a reasonable time frame, but she just doesn't want to put it in her contract. And I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but I think that, again, this isn't just for you, it's for your clients too. And however we can give our clients peace of mind. And as a planner, if I were looking at a contract, as I do, I look over all my couples contracts for full planning. And if I was looking at a photographer's contract and it didn't list any kind of information on deliverability or when to expect the images, that would be a red flag for me. So this is, again, it's to protect you, it's to protect your client, and it's to provide peace of mind for them. Everyone wants to know and to have the assurance that they're going to receive whatever they're paying for. And so that's why I think it's important to be really, really clear. All right, the next area that you are going to want to include in your contract is not just what's included, but also what's not included. This is really important. And this is something that over the years I have added more and more to my contract because I've learned along the way things that I am just not willing to do. Primarily, a lot of them, it's for liability reasons. But a lot of them, it's outside of the scope of work that they have hired me to do. And so some examples for me as a wedding planner, I don't do any trash removal. I don't bus tables. And I clearly state that clients must hire a full service caterer or if they're doing a food truck or something like that, they need to hire a wait staff company to handle the bussing of the tables. I don't stand on ladders that are larger than a standard step ladder. I don't hang lights because if you listened in the early episodes of my podcast, I shared a horrifying story about the one and only time I hung some bistro lights in a banquet room and they came crashing down during the reception while guests were seated at the table. So I don't do that. I will not touch lights. Okay. I also don't handle alcohol or food. I do have a current food handler's card, but I no longer have an OLCC license. So I am not even technically allowed to handle alcohol. I just had a couple recently ask if I could just pour the champagne and have it available for when guests come up to get it for their toasts. And I said, I don't have a current OLCC and I'm not even allowed to pour alcohol, even if I'm not the one handing it over. So we just need to make it really clear from the get-go. And again, these are things that my couple is learning immediately before they even, sign on the line. They are seeing, okay, these are the things that Becky and Event Crush won't do. And then here's all the things they do. And it's just so clear. And I think, again, it sets everyone up for success. Another thing to include in the contract is any add-ons or fees for out-of-scope requests. So for example, if they need to add on additional hours of event day coverage or coordination, what is the cost for that? Because we all know there are situations where stuff comes up and we are needed to be hired for more, but we're not just going to do it for free. So what is the cost to add on additional hours? If they need additional planning meetings or if they want to upgrade service. I just recently had someone upgrade from wedding management to full planning. So what does that look like? What if we need to do an additional venue visit? A lot of my services only include 1, maybe 2 venue visits, but what if we're needing to go out again because it's a unique situation and it's a private residence and we need to go again? What is the cost for that? Any travel fees associated? You always want to make sure you include any travel fees up front, because again, the worst thing is if you don't say anything about travel fees and then down the road, you reach out to your couple and you say, hey, so your venue is a couple hours away, so I'm going to need to get compensated for gas, and then I'm also going to need a night stay at a hotel. Your couple is going to be totally caught off guard by that if you hadn't communicated that with them in advance. So always, always make sure you're covering anything relating to travel and any expectations that you have of reimbursement for a hotel in advance. So I always cover that. I like to do that in the initial call, honestly, because I just don't want anything to be a surprise. But at the very least, I put it on the proposal. I'll say like, this is an all-inclusive offering. The only thing not included is 2 nights of lodging at a nearby hotel and any kind of travel mileage fees that I might be charging at that point. So those are the things that you will want to include in your contract. Obviously, there's so much to include in your contract, but this is just specific to being really clear about services provided, services not provided, and any additional fees that they can expect to pay. I would love to have someone on the podcast. I don't think I have had anyone yet who is a lawyer or an expert in contracts for wedding pros, but that would be a great episode. So I'm going to work on finding someone. I know there's Paige, the legal Paige. I believe she used to be a wedding photographer turned lawyer, and she does contracts and all kinds of things for wedding pros. I saw her speak several years ago at a conference for creatives, but maybe I'll reach out and see if I could get her on, or if you have any other ideas of guests who are an expert in that area, let me know, because I think that would be a fantastic episode. There's so much we could cover. Okay, so moving on from the contract, the next place that you are going to want to have really clear communication and just kind of setting the tone for what it's like to work with you is in either your welcome guide or any kind of a planning portal that you provide for your clients. I know obviously a lot of wedding planners have a planning portal, but I know a lot of DJs have a portal system where clients will log in and fill in information. No matter what kind of vendor you are, you probably have some system for collecting information, for sending questionnaires, all of that. And so this is the place where you just really want to lay it all out there. If you have a welcome guide that you are sending to couples, this is a great place to just include all the resources and information that they're going to need to feel confident moving forward and working with you. Basically, you want it to walk clients through the process visually or in writing, telling them, okay, here's what happens first. I need you to complete this questionnaire. And then 2 months after that, I'll be reaching out to gather this information. And then a month after that, we'll schedule this meeting. And then after that, we'll do your engagement session, et cetera, et cetera. Just really laying it out for them. I think it just brings such a sense of peace to a couple who is extremely overwhelmed with the planning process to be able to go, here it is. Here's the whole process of what it's going to be like to work with this photographer or this videographer. And it's going to give them the best peace of mind. So again, if you're a planner, you might have, several questionnaires that you need your client to fill out. And I will just say on the planning side of things, you need to have a system for collecting all of the information that you need to be successful on the wedding day. So whether that's sending out questionnaires, whether that's having all the questionnaires preloaded in your planning portal, which is what I do. And then I have due dates for them. So my couples know they need to, the client profile is the first one. I'm like, you need to get that done before our first meeting. But then a lot of the other ones, it's either kind of fill it out through the process or it's not due until 6 months out, 3 months out. So they have a lot of time to do these things, but they've had access to it the entire time. And that's what I want to emphasize. If you can give your client access to everything that you're going to need from them in the beginning, it honestly might feel a little overwhelming to them when they first log in and they're like, whoa, this is a lot. But they're going to have the entire planning process to complete it. And as long as you walk them through it and say, okay, this one's due on this date, this one's due on this date, and let them know like they have time to complete it all. I think that's better than springing things on them and suddenly being like, okay, here's this questionnaire. I need it in a week. And then they're rushing to get it done. So that's my personal approach. I know that I'm sure that there are different approaches in that regard. I know a lot of people send out questionnaires throughout the process, but I really like just putting it all out there up front and being like, here's everything. So they can get eyes on it. It also helps them to know what to be thinking about too. Because a lot of times when my couples are filling out these, like their ceremony document, their timeline document, there's things they just hadn't even thought about. And so it helps them to be, and just being able to peek at it in the beginning, like, okay, what's this about? What's this about? They might not fill it out right away, but they review the questions and they know what to be thinking about. And I just think that is so helpful. So again, there's different ways to do it. That's just how I personally do it. But regardless, you need a solid system for collecting all of the information from your couple throughout the process. Because again, it's just going to set everyone up for success. It's going to make the wedding day a success because you're going to feel confident having all the information that you need. Something else I want to add here is that the more you can automate, the better. So if you do questionnaires, if you can have them automatically sent at certain points throughout the planning process, that is fantastic. A lot of people have certain emails that go out at different points in the planning process with reminders and here's what's coming next and all of that. And of course, another thing I just want to briefly touch on is having automation and reminders for payments, because the last thing you want is for your client to be reaching out to you saying, hey, when's my next payment due? I want to make sure. Like, couples are balancing so much. They're working with 10, 15 or more vendors, and that they're having to manage all of these payments. And so the easier you can make that for them, they will just appreciate it so much. They shouldn't be having to track down payments or having to track you down to figure out, how can I pay you? Do I Venmo you? Do I do this or that? No, the best thing to do is have an automated system that just emails them when their payments are due and they click a link and they pay it. Like, man, I just think our couples deserve it. Honestly, it can just cause so much unneeded stress if we don't have a solid system for that. And I think our goal as wedding professionals, not just wedding planners, I think a lot of people put this on the planners to reduce stress. I think every single wedding professional's goal should be to reduce stress for the couple, not just the planner. And there's so many ways we can do that. But a big part of that is having these automations, having these systems set up so that, again, those automated payment reminders for your clients, it's a benefit to them and it's a benefit to you because nobody's having to track each other down to figure out when things are due or how the payment's going to come through. It just happens. And then money's in your bank account and your couple's happy because it was so easy and you made it seamless for them. That's what I think we should all be doing, is making things seamless and just smooth for our couples. Another thing, just kind of on that note, is providing scheduling links if you can. If you are a type of vendor that has meetings with couples or clients, just having a link, you can put it at the bottom of your email signature. You can have it in your welcome guide or your planning portal. And it's just a simple link that your couple can click on and they can find an available day and time on your calendar to schedule your next planning meeting or to schedule whatever call you need to do. Again, it makes their lives easier and it makes our lives easier. I'm telling you, when I started implementing that in my business in like 2018 or 2019, it was such a game changer for me. I didn't realize how much I hated the back and forth of like, okay, can we do Monday at 3? No, I can't. What about Thursday at 4? And like just this back and forth. Like it's exhausting for everybody. Nobody likes that. Nobody enjoys that. And I will admit, there are times when my scheduling calendar doesn't have a lot of availability on it just because I only have, I think, 3 days available on there right now. And so sometimes I will throw out a couple days in addition to what is on there. But the vast majority of time I'm using that scheduling link, and it makes it so easy for everybody. So just a little tip if you're not already using something like that. I know earlier I mentioned an FAQ section on your website, but again, I would have an FAQ section in your welcome guide or your planning portal that addresses common questions before the client needs to ask them. But this will be more specific now that you've booked them to the actual, experience of working with you, the level of service that you've been hired for, and all of that good stuff. So this wouldn't be like the same FAQ you have on your website. This would be a different FAQ that is a bit more detailed and involved about the experience of working with you. Other things that I recommend including in your welcome guide or planning portal are just kind of some basic information about communication expectations. So one of those would be your response time. When should they expect to hear back from you if they email you? Is it 24 hours? Is it 48 hours? Is it 72 hours? Somewhere in there, I would recommend. A lot of people say 24 to 48 hours. I think that's totally reasonable. You could even say like business days, Monday through Friday, if you don't work weekends, that kind of thing. But I think giving that clarity upfront to your couples it's just gonna prevent any stress. If they email you and they don't hear back from you for a day or two, they're not going to freak out because they know that you have set the standard of when you're going to get back to them and you're going to stick to that. Another thing to include would be your office hours. So if you only work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or Monday through Thursday from 8 to 3, whatever your hours are, if you want to include that there, that's a great spot for that too. Because again, if your clients are emailing you or calling you on the weekends or in the evenings, you can say, hey, remember, my office hours that I mentioned in the welcome guide, those are really the only times that I respond or that I make calls. So if you don't hear from me, just know that I will get back to you within my office hours. Another thing to include in this section is something about phone calls. I know not everybody just will accept a random phone call from a client. Personally, for me, I like to schedule all of my phone calls unless it is like the week or 2 weeks before the wedding and it's something urgent. Obviously, I'm happy to chat, but generally things are not that urgent that I need to answer every phone call that comes through my phone. And I really like to have those scheduled. So my couples know that and they will schedule calls with me. And all my full service couples get a monthly call and we just talk about everything at that point. And then in between we're emailing. But there isn't really a need for like a random phone call. So that's something that you can also clarify from the get-go. Any other boundaries that you have and that you want to include, like this is a great place just to lay it all out so that your couple knows what to expect. So the third way to make sure that you are communicating clearly and effectively with your clients is through email templates and check-ins. I mentioned automation before. So these can be pre-written emails that reinforce what's next, what's coming, what's expected, anything that you need from clients in order to be able to do your job. This can be certain points out from the wedding, 6 months out, 3 months out, 1 month out, etc. But these would be like pre-written emails that you have drafted and that are ready to go. Of course, you would customize them to be specific to your couple, but generally they are staying the same from couple to couple. And however you can automate those through your system, whether that's Honeybook or Dubsado, what have you, if you can just set them to send on a certain date, so easy. Another thing that I highly recommend is to have a way to recap calls or meetings in writing to ensure there's mutual understanding between all parties. So, I mean, you can manually write a recap after a meeting with a client, but another thing you can do is to use an AI note taker like Fathom, which is what I use. I know that Zoom and Google Meet have their own built-in versions now of AI note takers, but basically, these will listen into your meeting and will take notes for you. And then after the call's over, it'll send a recap to everyone who was on the call. And I love Fathom. It kind of has like a to-do section, and then it has like a breakdown of the key points and what was talked about and like key quotes, which is so great. My clients have loved this, and it just does it automatically. Like I don't have to do anything other than make sure that Fathom is running during my calls, but it automatically emails them and just makes all of our lives so much easier. I have a few additional tips as we are getting close to wrapping up here. One idea is to use Loom or another service to create short videos for your couples to set expectations and guide your clients through the process. One example of this is if you do have a planning portal, to create a video kind of walking couples through the planning portal and just showing them how to use it and how to make the most out of that experience. But if there's other things like other tools that your clients are going to be using or other questions that you can answer via video, I think videos are so great. Obviously, it's why I have been doing video for my podcast. And I think that it makes things so much more personal. So anytime you can pop a quick little video in an email, rather than just only doing text, I don't know. I think it makes such a huge difference. I've sent some proposals to couples where I will actually include a video, and it personalizes it so much and makes them feel, I think, just more connected to you that way. I also would say to keep everything in one place as much as possible to reduce overwhelm. So if you use a system like Honeybook or Aisle Planner, Dubsado, like I mentioned before, I would just encourage you to use it in its entirety to keep everything consistent and in one place rather than like bouncing between systems or doing some like solely email communication and some email within the system, just because for like being able to reference back, it's just really nice to have everything in one place. So I do recommend doing that if you have a similar kind of a system. And if something changes midway, if the level of service changes or anything, I think it's really important to reset expectations with a quick call or just a detailed email with your couple so that everyone is on the same page. Because that is what we want, is for everyone to be on the same page at all times. That will just reduce any kind of misunderstandings, miscommunication, and it will just be the best for everyone involved. All right. So last but not least, I wanted to just share a little bit more about how this will improve the client experience, because at the end of the day, we are service providers, and it is our job to provide an exceptional client experience to our couples. We should not just be doing the bare minimum. We should be working to go above and beyond and just provide a wonderful experience to our couples who are engaged and planning a wedding and probably very likely stressed out. And again, if there's anything we can do to reduce that stress, then I think we should be. So if you are clear in your communication from the get-go via your website, your contact form, your inquiry process, if couples feel like they have a solid understanding of what the process and experience is going to be like working with you, then they are going to be super confident and ready to book you. And then carrying on that communication throughout the planning process through your contract, through your planning portal, your welcome guide, your questionnaires, your email communication with your couples, your automations, they will feel so supported and in the know along the way. And that's going to create that incredible experience for them. You will receive fewer frantic emails of couples saying, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. And I don't know, I felt like maybe I should have heard from you. And so like, should we schedule a meeting? We've all got an email like that. And we, of course, do not want to, we don't want to put our couples in that position. Like if they are booking a vendor and having a great experience through the booking process, but then not hearing anything from that vendor for months and months, maybe their wedding's a year out and they don't hear anything for like 6 months. That I think that's concerning. And I've been on the end of hearing my couples talk about that and having vendors that just kind of go MIA throughout the planning process. Even if you think, well, there's not really much for me to do, like they hired me for photography, so I don't really need to like be in touch with them the whole time. I mean, that's fair, but having regular touch points is, I think it's essential for that client experience. Again, it helps them feel supported and that you are trustworthy and you can set up those automations. It's not that you are even really going to have to do any more work than you're doing right now. If you can just set up like a 3-month, 6-month, 1 month out reminder emails to just go out to your couple, hearing from you and knowing that you're thinking about them throughout the planning process it goes so much farther than you even realize. Because you don't want your couples to think that they are one of 50 or one of 20. You want them to feel like the only couple that you have and the only couple that matters. And how can you do that if you are going months on end without any communication with them? The other thing that happens when we do have this really elevated communication experience with our couples is it makes your business look elevated and polished and trustworthy. And if you're wanting to level up in the market, then that is one of the best ways to do it is by having really exceptional communication. I know I mentioned this, I think in my last episode, one of my recent ones, I know I brought this up, just the importance of not just having okay communication, but really exceptional communication. And lastly, if you are making things super clear and straightforward and you're walking through this process with your couples, it's going to make them want to refer you because the process felt so smooth. That's something that they are going to remember long after the experience of working with you. They're going to remember how you made them feel along the way. And if you made them feel confident and supported and they trusted you through the process, that's gold. And again, they are going to refer you to their friends and family, and they're probably going to leave you a great review. So there are so many reasons why we want to provide this really great experience for our couples, but those are just a few benefits that come from that. So if you are listening today and there's anything I said that you realize, maybe there is a gap in your communication experience with your clients, or there is something you could be a little more upfront about in the beginning or a little clearer on in your contract, I hope that this just gives you the push to make it happen. I know a lot of us are in wedding season right now and things are busy, but I would encourage you just to set aside some time and try to make those changes sooner rather than later, because you don't know what a potential impact, big impact it could have on your current clients, your future clients. And if you're not already really laying this foundation with your clients, I can assure you that it will make a world of difference for both you and your couples moving forward. So I would also just encourage anyone listening to kind of do an audit of your systems and processes in your business and how you are communicating with clients and potential clients, and just seeing if there's any areas that you can improve upon and that you're making sure that all expectations are clearly set from the get-go. Feel free to DM me on Instagram at Event Crush. I guess you can DM on Threads now too, which is wild. I haven't got any DMs there yet, so I don't know, but it's weird. I don't know how I feel about that, but I guess you can DM me on Threads or Instagram, you choose. But I'd love to hear what you're doing to set the tone for your couples and their experience working with you, or anything that you are going to be working on. And lastly, if you are a wedding planner who's newer, maybe in your first few years of business, I have a wedding planning mentorship that is currently open. And I would love to chat with you and just see how I could help you kind of navigate those early years of business and help you get to that next level that you might be reaching towards. So feel free to reach out to me at becky@eventcrush.com. And I'll also link the page with more information on that down below in the show notes. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in. It's been so fun to be back. And I hope that you are just having a great wedding season so far, if that's what you have going on right now. Or maybe if you're in a different part of the country where it's really hot and there's not a lot of weddings right now, I hope you're enjoying your downtime. All right, friends, we will catch you back here next week. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in to this week's episode of the Event Crushed podcast. I hope you found value in this episode, and if you did, please consider sharing it with a wedding industry friend. We also hope you'll consider leaving a rating or review for the show to help other listeners find it. This podcast is edited and produced by Ace Sound Design. If you're looking to elevate your audio experience, their info can be found in the show description. As always, thank you for listening, and please connect with us on Instagram if you haven't already. Now get out there and crush it.